As you probably noticed, during our workshop we are going to work with Adobe Lightroom Creative Cloud version or CC version. There are some very minor differences though between the CC version and the earlier ones up to Lightroom 4. Feel free to use any Lightroom version starting from Lightroom 4. They all have full functionality, and I will let you know about some minor differences or new tools which appeared in the later versions and how to deal with those situations. So first of all, let's go through all the panels again. I'll tell you more details, and we will set up our panels for more convenient work. So first of all, check the edges of our screen. You can find small triangles there, which allows you, by clicking on them, to turn off and permanently pin the module. You can also use, and I encourage you to use, shortcuts for more convenient work as well. So F5 and F6 turns off and on top and bottom panels. The Tab key turns off and on the side panels. The most frequently used shortcuts you can find in the handout as well, so feel free to use them. Okay, let's first of all turn off our top panel, which will release some more space for our work, as we are not going to switch to a different module today. And go to the left panel. The first element is Navigator here. You can minimize and maximize it if you want. The Navigator shows you a small preview of the image we are working with, and it is very good to have some reference if we work with partials of the image. So by just clicking on the image, you zoom in and click again, zoom out, and we will talk about setting up the zoom in on the top right here. The next one is Catalog. Catalog is a general information about the entire structure of your photo catalog. We will cover it later in a few steps. So folders. The folders, it's the place where you can find physical storage of your images on the hard drive. Please remember a few things about this one. First of all, we're not going to use it that often because we're going to work with virtual collections. That's why there is no need to organize neatly all our files on the hard drive. Lightroom will remember and find them anyway. What is special about folders again? First of all, folders in Lightroom has limited functionality about organizing images. That's why we're going to use collections here. Secondly, if you delete image, there's a big chance that you will delete the image physically on your hard drive. When you do it in the collection, nothing happens with physical elements. Secondly, you will see that the folders is not actually the file explorer. It only contains those folders which contain images from the catalog of Lightroom. All other folders are invisible. They will appear only when there will be images known to Lightroom in them. As I mentioned before, collections is our main topic today, and they contain the organization of our entire structure of images. Then publish services. That's where we find ways to upload images to online storages, to online publish services, and so on. There are import and export images, which lead to importing and exporting windows. Let's go to the right panel. So at the very top, we'll find Histogram tool. You can see that the tool also in the develop module, and it's a very important tool to evaluate our image. Why do we need it here in the library module? That's because we have a quick develop. There are some images which do not need much work, and it's much easier to use the limited functionality of the quick development, tweak the image a little bit from your camera original view, and you're ready to export it. Keywording and keywords list, those are elements which contain all the database of your specific tags or keywords for your images. Metadata. We'll say about that later, that images originally has a lot of pre-filled fields from the camera, which is, for example, information from your camera about ISO and flash usage and lens, whatever. And you can also fill up and use different fields here. It will help us later to find images by specific criteria. We can also add comments to specific file formats. Here you can find the ways to the buttons for synchronization of the metadata in the collection. Okay, that's a preview of the panels. First of all, let's click the right button on your mouse on the empty space of the right panel and choose Solo Mode. It will allow us to keep only one module opened. When you open another one, the previous one will be closed. It will save us some room and make it easier to browse. The histogram and the navigator at the left, those are permanent things. If you want to minimize them, you have to do it manually. Let's go here and also click Solo Mode on the left panel. Okay. What do we have in the main area? There are two different toolbars here. There is so-called toolbar. You can use T button to show it or hide it. And there is a backslash button which shows you the library filter, the filtering bar. And you see that there are specific modes for the image here. There's a grid mode, which you see here, and the filter only works on the grid with multiple images. It doesn't make sense for only one image. There's a loop view. That's the main view to evaluate a single image. There's a comparison mode for the window, which we can compare images and make our selection. There's also the demonstration mode, which allows us to have some attributes here and a nice frame. And the new one in Creative Cloud, people mode, which recognizes faces. Let's switch back to the loop mode and tell a few words about the timeline. So the images on the timeline, let's make it slightly larger. On the edge of each panel, you can also change the size of it. So let's make it slightly larger right now to discuss elements. So as you see, there are a number of images here already on the timeline. You can just drag and reorganize images on the timeline. You can also see a miniature icons on some of the images, and also stars, specific other icons on the border on the image. We'll go through all these elements a little bit later, but generally these are all elements of cataloging in Lightroom. Let's make it smaller. So here there's some information provided and filtering for the timeline. And that's pretty much what you need to know to start our work.